Welcome, guys. It's Danny Glover from Fight Fan TV Live. You know where it is. And today we're joined by our guest, Mr. Coach Barry, 100 Styles of Boxing Robinson. How you doing today, sir?
Outstanding. How you guys doing? Thanks for the intro. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All good, man. All good. So, yeah, we want to let people know more about you. People in the UK, we were familiar with you at one point, hence, I even brought you up. But I think a lot of people have actually, not really seen much of you and maybe forgot about you and not really in tune with, what you bring what you bring and what you're about, really. So I think it's a good time for people like yourself to get their flowers, their recognition, people not to, because one chapter's ended, not to think that, there ain't other chapters and there's other things going on with yourself. So yeah, man, I think it's no better time than the present. We was meant to schedule this a few months ago, but hey, better late than never, Barry. So what you been up to, man? What you been up to lately?
First of all, I really appreciate taking the time to ask me any questions and have a conversation, because I think a lot of times when it comes to my career or things I've done, I don't know, it's hard to Google my name and get accurate information, whether it's about working with a boxer or MMA, which is actually something I'm working on now. Wikipedia, obviously somebody has to do that for you. So those are some of the things that we're working on now, because I realize, man, like, you search my name, like, I know how to find different articles of different things I've done, but it seems like it's not really common knowledge when it comes up. As far as like what I've been up to, man, I always like The Power of Time Off. It's a great TED Talk by a great designer of our time named Stefan Sagmeister. Most boxing coaches are expected to be in a gym 24/7, waiting for the next fighter, and I've done things a little bit different in my career. This period has been great for me to always critique my system, see how I can get better. First of all, how can I get better as a human being for myself, not based on what other people might want me to be, or so how can I be the best Barry I could be, and then also how can I critique my system and maybe make it more efficient and teach it better and help people to teach it better.
Yeah, love that. So yeah, so to let people know, as you said, people might not know anything, they can't find anything about you. So we can get the scoop here and people can know more about you and have the facts. So yeah, man, let everyone know where is it you was born, where you was born, raised, what I could tell you're American, but what city exactly?
I'm from the Bronx, New York, and I'm quite proud of you say stuff like the Bronx, New York, and you think about the 1980s and you think about the crack era, which was something that obviously the inner city of Americas went through. And so I was born during that period. And in that time in New York, at least, maybe some people, they might say, oh, New Yorkers are arrogant. Well, in New York, you had to fight for everything. Like just like London is now, you have to fight for everything. Nobody gives you anything. Whatever you do, there's 100 people that can do it just as good. So it's a very competitive place. So I think most New Yorkers come from a place of having to grind or having to do something. How can I add a twist onto that to do this better than the next person and possibly, whatever, make a profit or something like that out of it. So I would say I'm from the Bronx, New York, with up in group homes. So for anybody that doesn't know, I didn't grow up with a family or something like that in boys' homes. And so maybe that tells you something about my personality. I'm a fighter to the end. I'm a grinder, and I'm very, very confident in the work that I put in.
Okay, so what part of the Bronx was you from? Because I know there's different areas in the Bronx. It's not just one whole place. It's like a borough, ain't it?
So, right. So I'm originally from the South Bronx. So when you say South Bronx, so I was born, and this is going to sound a little bit funny to everybody. I was born on Freeman Street and Hoe Avenue, HOE. And Hoe Avenue is actually a hoe stroll. So I grew up on 1165 Hoe Avenue. And at that time when I was young, Hoe Avenue was literally a hoe stroll. And that's the area I'm from in the Bronx. And then at the time when we were putting foster care, we lived with our family in Harlem at the time. I have an older sister, Bernadette. So we lived with our family in Harlem for foster cares, then family in Harlem, then back to the Bronx with my family, and that was around 173rd Street in Webster and 165 in Innerville. So this is all the South Bronx, kind of near Yankee Stadium. If, for people that know, they know. And now that I've traveled a lot of the world, I wouldn't recommend that any person grows up in that type of environment anywhere in the world.
Okay, yeah, my big up Tony. He said, "Oh, KRS-One is from South Bronx."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one of my friends, Maestro, he actually lives across the street from Yankee Stadium as well. Actually,
Right.
so yeah. So most people be familiar with the South Bronx with Benny Blanco. I don't know
There
if
you
you remember
go.
that,
Right.
Carlito's
Right.
Way.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
So as you said, go rough neighborhood, you got to fight, you get into arguments and stuff like that. But then what was like school life like? What school did you go to, and what was school
Well,
life like for you?
that's a really good question, man. So I went to school, believe it or not. So New York City is a commuter's place, right? Just because you live in the Bronx, that doesn't mean you might not go to school. And if you work if your house is in Queens, it doesn't mean you're not going to um, go to school in Brooklyn or something like that, depending on how far it is from your school. So actually, my first school I ever went to was School 133. In New York, we say PS 133. And it was on Fifth Avenue between 130th and 131st Street in Harlem. So our school was in Harlem, and when we lived in foster care, we would go from our aunt's house, which was in Harlem, and we would walk to school. When they put us back with our family, we would take the train from the Bronx every day. And we had the Coochie in the Bronx. We have something called the Coochie Frito restaurant. It's like a Puerto Rican style restaurant where they have different little foods already hot, and you kind of pick what you want looking through the window. So we would stop there, get the hot chocolate on the way to school, and then take the train downtown. And that's what going to school was like. Now, as far as like what school was like, you know, what I'm going to say now may seem insensitive, but I'll just kind of say it in a way that hopefully is not insensitive. A lot of the things they have now, anti-bullying initiatives, things like this, man, we needed them when I was in school, because if you didn't have the right thing on, the right shoe, they was on top of your head all day long. So everybody had to have jokes. Like, it was never a situation like, I'm being bullied. No, you better have jokes when you come to school. If you don't got jokes, then you're going to continue to get, bullied. So going to school is tough. And then the older kids in the hood, we used to have these things called a bus pass. So like I said, it's a commuter's kind of city. So the school gives you a bus pass. So the older guys, they would come, tap the younger people pockets, and obviously whatever you had in your pockets, they call it rabbit ears. Basically you empty the pockets, reverse those. They take your train pass, your bus pass, your food. And so that was just like normal stuff. Being 43 now, with the way the world is now, you go, oh, that was terrible. But when we were younger, that was just like, yeah, that's going to happen. It is what it is. So that's kind of how growing up in New York was like. And last thing I'll say, I don't want to be too long-winded, but the thing that stood out to me most about my childhood and growing up in New York in school is that the most successful person I'd ever saw, and I didn't realize it at the time when I was younger, but he was a drug dealer named Juan. And he used to be parked outside of the house on 173rd and Webster. But this guy, when I was, I would say junior high school, he always would give me like $10 or tell the milkman to stop and give me like, look, and I down it, and he'd be like, stay in school. But that was the most successful person I'd ever seen. I never saw a doctor, never saw a lawyer, never saw an artist. And for everybody that might think like, New York, you're from New York. Well, the successful people that, the industries we talk about, they were in Manhattan. And if you're from New York, you're from the hood, you didn't go to Manhattan every day. Going to Manhattan was like, oh, we're going to 34th Street. It was a big deal. So the people that you saw was the people from your hood, and you didn't get a chance to interact with, like when you see the TV show Friends. I always go, man, like, what New York was that? Where was that at? I didn't know any of that was going on. So I think you get several different educations growing up in New York. You get the education of what you see on TV, the education of what you see outside in the street, and then the education of what other people are trying to tell you. But the one where you see things in the street for yourself, that often shapes your education for the most part.
Yeah, a lot of what you said sort of resonates with the upbringing I had over here, coming from a Jamaican background, grandparents came over in the Windrush. So in school, if you didn't have the right stuff on, especially if you had what did we call it, mufti day, where you come in with your own clothes, or if you're on the
Right.
the estate and stuff, if you ain't got the Nikes, the Reeboks, the Adidas, you're getting it. You better have jokes. You better have rebuttals. If you've got a big nose, big something don't look right. You walk a bit funny. You best have a rebuttal. And it's like Terminator when they scan you. You've got to scan someone as soon as you see them.
You gotta be on.
In case they start on you, you've got to have comebacks. All this. Oh, be kind and don't bully. Listen, it was on site. I had to listen. That's how you became a wordsmith, and I think that's what sort of created maybe a lot of good artists back in the day, because you've got to have punchlines. You've got to have everything. You can't just be a mumble talker, because then you become a mumble rapper, and you get crushed in these out here.
I heard a really interesting quote once. I'm curious how you feel about this. So it's a business quote, actually. And the quote is, business is conflict. That's the creative process. You don't get excellence by saying yes. You get love, but you don't get excellence. And that word conflict, people are often scared of it. Like if something's not right, if you and I are working on a project, I love you to death. You love me to death. We're working together. But at some point, I need to tell you, that red is not going to go with this design. I need to have that conversation. And I think, excuse me, we kind of live in a world where you can't have that conversation anymore. And I think it affects people treat and talk to each other, because you can't create great things. So going back to that quote, they said in Switzerland, they had peace for years. And what did they create? The cuckoo clock. Whereas in Italy, they had war and all of these different things. And they created artists, food, the Renaissance, everything, the list goes on. So I think there's something to going back to maybe a little bit of more of an authentic world and being a little bit more honest with each other. I don't know. I don't see how it hurts.
Yeah, I don't see how it hurts either. But there's a lot of people, I think, who are pushing for this. Just try and get along, but you can still get along and have conflict, and have conflicts of interest and things like that. You can have different of opinions. For instance, my friend Tony Pugilist, meaning we have arguments all the time. We were just talking about politics over in America. We've been doing arguing about that for months. But hey, we just came back from Paris Olympics a couple of months ago. So listen, the thing is, it's like a relationship. If everything's going so smoothly and she agrees with you, it becomes a very boring relationship, and it doesn't become authentic. It's like when Akeem in Coming to America, when he was like, "Oh, what food do you like? Whatever kind of food you like. What kind of music? Whatever kind of music you like." Like, come on, have what? Don't like. You've got to have something for yourself. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that makes very good sense. And when you was talking about the bus passes and stuff like that, we've got bus passes over here, so that makes perfect sense. We can relate. A lot of London things in New York. New York is like London on steroids, in my opinion, which you probably found out coming over here.
Bro, it's so interesting. So, okay, obviously, especially New Yorkers, we don't know anything about anywhere else. We don't. When you grow up in New York, you don't even think about California, let alone outside the country, right? It's not, people are not dumb or going out of their way to not think. It's just New York is such a magnetizing cultural place that you don't really consider other places. My point in saying that is, so I've been in London twice. Worked in London twice. The first time was like 2008, bro. I was at Rooney's Gym in London, and that's a whole nother story. And then the second time is obviously the time with Lawrence and things like that. And so around that time, I was in Hackney. And so again, my limited idea of what London was, I hadn't seen Hackney yet. I'd never seen a hood in London. So I'm here. I heard drill music, and I'm like, and people would be like, "Yo, this is hood around here. Be careful." And I'm like, I'm walking around. They're like, what you guys say? The top.
Top boy.
Top. How do you say it? The top avenue. How do you say that? How do you say that in London?
Top avenue.
When you go to the main avenue, the main street. So you could be down the street, but then you go to
the ends. Or front line.
Yeah, something like this. And I'm like, I didn't really think nothing of it. And then one day, actually, I got approached by some dudes from the hood, And they was like, yo, you be walking around here running and stuff. And he says, everybody knows they don't mess with you because you train with Lawrence, keep doing your thing, do a great job. And I was like, well, I didn't even know what he was talking about, but that's serious. And that's when I found out about that London and New York pretty much right there, except with London, obviously there's a lot more stabbings and stuff like that. In New York, there's a lot more, gunplay, but still the level of the was almost the same. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that until around that time.
Yeah, yeah. So so what was your favorite? So, oh, by the way, did you have any siblings growing up as well? Did you have any siblings in the household?
Yeah, I did. I had an older sister, and then I had a very little brother, little sister. But I didn't grow up with my little brother and little sister because I was mostly in group homes at the time. And then my big sister, we grew up from birth until I think she was 5, I was 3 when we first got pulled out of school, or she was 6 and I was 4 when we first got pulled out of school and put into foster care. And so we had that together. And then some years later, around 11 years old, she was 13. We got separated for good when I got put into group homes, and that was pretty much it. We kind of grew up different. So, yeah, I have siblings, but unfortunately, we don't have that great family bond because we didn't really grow up together. So, when you say that, I'm going to say something really tough right now, but I'm learning a lot about empathy these days, and it's difficult for people to have empathy with each other if they don't listen to each other. So, I think empathy is a really big word and understanding for family, for just being able to understand people. So we didn't really get a chance to have empathy for each other as adults to really understand, well, what was your life like? What was your life actually like? And to be able to build a relationship as adults based on this empathy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So then also, because I'm quite a bit of a historian. So your family, like your parents and your grandparents, are they what are they from the South originally, or are you like foundational Black American? Or are
I,
you?
I love that question. I think it's a beautiful question, and I think people should ask African Americans specifically more often that question. So one of the beautiful things about being African American and being in the UK is you can tell by the last name, oftentimes even where a person's from. Oh, this person's from Nigeria. This person's Jamaican. This person's, and here's what I'll say a lot of people don't understand about Americans. Okay, so I actually went to go try to find out who I was because I was really curious. And as an adult, I think it's really important to know who you are. So I'll tell you the furthest that I got. The furthest that I got was my great, 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 great grandfather might be a runaway slave that was running from Greensville County, Virginia to Greensville County, South Carolina. The reason why that's the closest you're able to come to, because anybody do their history, Greensville County, a main center point for the what was it called? The Civil War, I guess the North versus the South.
Yeah.
And so when you look, even if you go on Ancestry or something like that, and you look at the year 1912, you see all the drafted. There's a lot of Robinson sharecroppers from Virginia, from that area, being drafted into the 1912 war. So before that, in the so from around 1870 to that period, 1912, all churches, courts, hospitals were being burnt. So there are no records prior, like there is no African American, at least from that area, that can continue to dig past that great 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 grandfather that might be a runaway slave. Like you can't get any further. So unfortunately, the states did a great job at decimating any chance African American people had it to salvage anything in their culture. So for me and my travels, when I meet, oh man, I'm sorry to be long-winded about this. So Oman, one of my favorite countries to visit. Omanis look like you and I, skin-wise. Omanis look like you're like, oh, that guy's Turkish. Oh, he's Greek. Oh, he's so you can have, for example, if you have Somalia very close to Oman. And then when you think about the history back in the day with the Ottoman Empire dominated so many cultures from the Middle East to, I guess, let me get to my point. My point is when you see Omanis, and if I was to ask a Omani that looks like me, hey, brother, where you from? They're going to be proud Omanis. But they're going to tell you that their history, oh, well, My great grandfather was a spice trader from Somalia. He was trading spice in Lebanon. He would go 3 months from here. Then he somehow met my mother in Oman. And he met his Greek Orthodox and like you can't do that as an American citizen if you're African American. You just can't. So one of the things that I think sucks is, and I say this with all positivity, so hopefully everybody doesn't think that I'm like some complaining. I think that what America could do better is acknowledging all of their history. So before we even talk about slavery, we talk about Native Americans. I think as Americans, we get real arrogant. I'm American. Well, actually, the truth is Native Americans, like we're skipping right over them. Like it's their land. And obviously, when you talk to an American, most Americans are like, I'm American. Well, so is Alexander Pereira, every Brazilian. So is every Peruvian. So is every, Central American. So I think America has to do a better job at like acknowledging its history, because that word empathy, or I mentioned it, like people can't have empathy for each other until what happened is acknowledged. Yes, it's uncomfortable. We enslaved this, we slaughtered these people. But once you say that and it's part of history and everybody knows, I can start to listen to your story, which is well known, and go, oh, you know what? I have empathy for that. Let me try to understand you better. I wonder what your food tastes like. Tell me more about your hunting. Yeah. So anyway, I could go off on that subject for days. And I just think that when I look at England, I love how so many people know their last name or know their history or eat their food or know their religion. And there's a certain confidence in that. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like there's nothing wrong with it in knowing this is who I am. And I wish we could do that more as African Americans. So that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, I think African Americans / foundational Black Americans are starting to do that more. You're tapping more with the culture, like the Gullah Geechees, the Maroons from the medicinal swamps. Obviously, soul food is part of the cuisine that those from, especially from the South, would have eaten. Like, because my background is Jamaican. My grandparents came over here in the 1950s. So yeah. But as you know, there's a lot of Jamaicans over here in the UK. Obviously, a lot of Nigerians as well. So yeah, but I think because we've all kind of met up here in the last century, like from the 1950s to the 1980s, 1990s, everyone sort of brought their sort of culture over here and sort of made it into a thing. Whereas foundational Black Americans, you've been there for like 500 years, but I think it gets lost because there's so much different groups coming over. You guys kind of then get fizzled out to become the non-model minorities, unfortunately. So it's for you, and also you get lumbered in with every Black group, and then it's like everyone's then claims to be African American, because technically Elon Musk can say he's African American, can't he?
Technically speaking.
So sometimes, so that's why you probably need a name like FBA. I think is probably a better term. So you can actually.
FBA?
It's Foundational Black American. It's those who can trace their ancestry back to the 1870 census. So it's for a thing where FBA people are fighting for reparations. So right. Obviously, to be qualified, you've got to be someone who is, family
from there.
Can be traced back to a plantation back in the day, similar to what the Caribbeans are doing over here in the UK. You've got to be able to be traced back to a plantation. So obviously, those who are continental Africans will not be eligible for those reparations because they wasn't part of the slave colonies in the Caribbean. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. Well, yeah. Moving on. So how did you get into combat sports? Was it boxing at first you got involved with? Was it was it martial arts? Which combat sports did you get involved with first?
It was boxing. It was boxing in New York. First of all, I love basketball. I was a basketball kid. New York, that's our sport. Like same way, like if you go to UK is, I think you guys are playing football, soccer in the street. Like in New York, every hood you go to, somebody can give you the business in basketball. It don't matter what they look like. That's just our sport. So, and we got handles. We're known for our dribbling ability. The West Coast is more shooters, but that's what we do. So I love basketball. That's my first love. Always be my first love. It's still the sport that I follow and even study a lot to this day. However, I I started to get more into boxing as far as training and stuff like that when I was young, following my sister Bernadette, especially because she was into it even more than I was. And I would just pretty much go to the gym she went to, which was Gleason's gym, and I'd work it in between my basketball, or where I was running around the streets and things like that. And so, to be honest with you, I wasn't really a big like I wasn't in love or infatuated with combat sports. Um, it's funny because I'll say this to you right now today, and I could be very direct about it. Um, I kind of fell into combat sports from a coaching perspective out of sheer circumstance. So, for example, I was training. I got knocked out 2007 in the Golden Gloves. Anybody could go Google if you guys want a little chuckle and laugh. You search Barry Robinson, knocked out Golden Gloves, or you can search the opponent name, Patrick Ngunza, Egunza. That's my guy from the Congo. Real good people. He's a manager now with MMA and manages part of Khabib and all those guys. But anyway, so he knocked me out quite brutally. I can tell a funny story about that later if you're interested. It's a hilarious story, but he knocked me out. And I didn't understand why I got stopped that particular fight. I came to the gym every day. I worked hard. I was smart as hell. Nobody outworked me. And I was like, what didn't I know? And so just to give you a little bit of context, later on, when I woke up, I found out I got knocked out by doing what they tell every big man to do. And I'm pretty sure if I say, everybody take a guess, what's the first thing they teach big man? You get a tall guy in the gym, what's the first thing they're going to teach you? What do you think they're going to say to him?
Work behind the jab.
Step behind the jab, son. And look. This they be trying to set you up, bro. Look. Let's talk about this shit real quick. Excuse my language, everybody. Yo, let's talk about this shit real quick. Excuse my language, everybody. Let's talk about this. Let me stand up for tall people right now. So they can get tall people in the gym, and they telling motherfuckers right off top, yo, stepping with the jab, son. First of all, I'm 6'5". Why you got me stepping in? Why am I giving away my range? Why are you helping people hit me with overhands? But anyway, you get hit with the overhands, you take them in sparring, they say, you come back the next day, your son got hurt. You got, whoa, bro. So anyway, I got the stepping with the jab, son. I got overhand, sit me down, and that's really what started my combat sports journey. After that, instead of being a groupie and going to gyms based on reputation, Gleason's gym, whatever the hell people was training, I started interviewing coaches in New York. Just kick me out of the gym. As soon as I came and asked the questions, get the fuck out of here. I train you the way I train you. But I had this one coach that was like, he's like, fuck, I can't tell you nothing. Let's do a workout right now. I had on jeans this particular day. I had on jeans, and he did something I never did before. He made me step forwards, backwards, left and right for rounds. And that triggered something in me with my military training. And then eventually the trainer I was working with, really clever people sometimes, are really smart, talented people. They're not all perfect. They got their own personal issues. And for some reason, this guy stopped coming to the gym. Just didn't show up one day anymore. And at that time, so the gym I was training at was on, I think it's 26th Street. So you have Kingsway Gym that's on one street, and then the Supreme Team was on another street. And so at that time, Zab Judah and Miguel Cotto was going to fight. And Miguel Cotto was doing his press conference at Kingsway, and we were supposed to be at the gym, or my coach at the time was supposed to be at the gym to open up for Zab Judah, his father. That day, he never showed up. I opened the gym, and he never showed up. I never saw the guy again after that. So I just started coaching. And that's how I got into coaching. And I happened to be good at it because I'm a natural leader. I had already been doing personal training at the time. I'd been in the military. I understood drills. And from there, it was just a matter of being a natural leader and then just learning my craft. And then obviously fast forward today, just trial and error, learning my craft. And I fell in love with, what am I in love with? I fell in love with processes. I'm in love with processes. I don't care if it's a drummer's process. I don't care if it's your process. If you have a process and it leads to something elite, I'm infatuated with processes. And that infatuation led to what people know of me as a coach today.
Okay. So yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I was going to get onto that. So what made you, when did you have the decision to decide to go into the military? And how was it for you? Because you was in the Navy, right?
You want should I be raw in this interview for the first time in my career? Answer these questions legit. I'm going to answer these questions legit. I'm going to tell my story.
Thank you.
The reason why I say that is because here's how I got in the military. You're not going to believe this story. First time anybody ever hearing this. First time. Only people that know this story are my records and people very close to me. And I'm gonna be honest about it, because I could, somebody needs to hear this. Some kid that gets into trouble or something like that. Okay, so young people, this is how I got in the military. I was on probation. Remember, I lived in group homes, so I wasn't no fucking choir boy. When you live in group homes and there's influences around you, you end up doing some things. It just things happen, and I was on probation. I had a 5-year probation intensive supervision. I was living in a group home called Little Neck AOBH, which is in a place in Queens, New York, called Little Neck, and it's on the border of Long Island and Queens. So, sorry, Glen Oaks. And I was on probation. I was doing very good, doing the probation, something from when I was younger. And so I'm trying to dress this up for the young people. So I got caught one day in New York. I'm gonna be honest, fuck it. So in New York, I used to roll a spliff. We roll a blunt. So the way you do it in New York, you get a blunt from the store. He's a Dutch master. You break down as you walk in. You empty your gut. You break your weed down. You roll it up, and you walk down the street and smoke it. And you hope that the TNT at that time when I was young, TNT was the Tuesday and Thursday police. They would jump out on an unmarked vans and harass people for no reason. Weed is legal now, people, so I can't tell you guys how many people got put for trumped up charges, including me as a youngster getting arrested for clips and getting for anyway. That was just New York at the time. So, so the way I got in the military was I was doing everything right, and one time I got popped for a spliff, like walking around, just like I described, and I'm begging the cops. I'm like, look, I'm on probation, let me ride. It's a clip, and they're like, nah, we patting stats today, So they put me in a van, and they were just collecting people all day. And so I was living in Queens. I'm going to probation in Brooklyn at the time. Twice a week, intensive supervision, 2.5 hours on the train and bus every week. So I had this older black lady. She's like, Barry, when I got in trouble, the judge let me out because it's a little clip. She's like, Barry, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing right now? She said, I'm not going to violate you. So for anybody that doesn't understand what violate means, is when you get in trouble in probation, if they violate you, that means whatever your original charge was, they can go back and revisit that and hit you with that time. So she's like, look, I'm not going to violate you, but stop shit. Like, why are you doing stupid shit? Like, so I had been requesting a transfer because, like I said, I've been going 2.5 hours, 2 times a week to Brooklyn. I was like, I need to get to Queens, where I live at, a shorter distance. Sure enough, that transfer comes in like 2 weeks after I get in trouble. Same situation. Hadn't seen the probation officer yet. I go meet my man from the other group home in Jamaica. So in Queens, you have Jamaica Queens, and there's a boulevard called Jamaica Boulevard, actually. So I go hit him. We go meet at the barbershop. We're going to go get a tray bag. So when you're young in New York, a tray bag, people, is a bag. I'm just being honest. If you're a young guy, you put that together with your mans, and that's how you guys want to smoke, right? So I meet my mans. Same process. We go get a blunt. We go get pull it down, boom. TNT jumps out, gets me. He's like, I'm like, yo, guys, it's a split. Like, what are we doing here? He's like, nah, we padding stats. And so they send me to jail. The judge releases me because it's just a split, but I got to go see the probation officer. So at that time, they transferred me. So I get to the probation officer in Queens. I got a Vietnam veteran leg. He's not happy. I walk into his office, first meeting. He's like, Robinson, violated. That was it. So that means, so when he said violated, bro, what that means to everybody is I'm about to lose my freedom. So I walk out of his office and I walk down his office, Jamaica Boulevard. I'm walking, just hearing this news. I know my original thing when I got in trouble when I was young, I got in trouble many times, but this one, they could have hit me with a 1 to 3 or something like that, which is between 1 to 3 years. You do about 1/8 of that or something. I forget what it was at the time. So I'm walking. This is a true story, people. I'm being honest. First time I'm walking down Jamaica Boulevard, and I hear a Navy recruiter. I hear somebody go, son, join my Navy. And when I heard that, I was like, exactly what I'm going to do. I didn't tell him. I didn't walk up to him and say, "Yo, I'm on probation." I was in my head. I'm like, I'm trying to be
Get
slick,
out.
right? So I start the process of joining the Navy to push up. I'm killing everything because I've always been a well-spoken kid, was always fit. So they didn't know no better. So there comes a stage where you got to do fingerprints when it starts to get serious. So one day the recruiter comes to me and he's like, Robinson, why you ain't tell me you was on probation? And I'm like, for obvious reasons, duh. And so he's like, look, I'm gonna go to court with you, and we're gonna try to work this out with the judge. So we literally had a court date. It's the probation officer and the Navy recruiter going at it. Sending this guy to prison. The Navy recruiters, look at his test. Like the kid's smart. He just need to. So people, lo and behold, the judge let me go to the military, and that's how I joined the military.
Okay. So what countries did you go to whilst in the military?
It's not about so many about so much as countries I went to. It's more about how much time I spent underway. So my job, I was an operations specialist, which is somehow I got a top secret security clearance because I did well on this test, and I was what's called an OS. So OS is involved. I'm not sure how much I could talk about it, but OS does so many things with. Whenever you think about operations, anything operations, hopefully you guys with me, anything to do with ops, that's what OS does. There's low level ops and there's high level. And, so that's what OS does. Anything to do with coordinating, planning, in the know, that's what ops is. So, however, in the Navy, when you work in ops, most of your job is done underway because you're tracking submarines, you're coordinating with amphibious ships, you're doing stuff like this. So your work is really what's called underway is when you're out to sea. So it's not so much that we went to certain countries, it's where do we go do our tours at? Did we do what's called a med tour? Med tour would be a Mediterranean 6-month deployment or something like that. So I did a few different deployments in different bodies of water, not so much in other countries, if that makes any sense.
Yes, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So what? Okay, so what seas did you do deployments in?
All the Mediterranean seas, all the Pacific seas, and the reason why is because every country gets together and do war games. Um, so you might have, for example, let's say my ship was a frigate. I was on a frigate, USS Kaufman. It's a small ship. So your frigate is a part of what's called a Desron. A Desron generally is attached to an aircraft carrier. Anybody that doesn't know what an aircraft carrier is, those really huge ships with planes. It's basically a small city, 6,000 people on those ships. So that's like the president. And then with the Desron, you have 2 destroyers, which are 2 ships. Those some badass ships you don't want no problems with. 2 cruisers, you don't want no problems with those either. And then you have a frigate, and then that's normally attached to a submarine group. So we were in what's called Desron 26. We were attached to the George Washington Aircraft Carrier Group. My ship main mission was if the aircraft carrier was attacked, my ship specifically was to align ourselves in position to take the hit. That was the overall mission for our boat. Then the submissions were anti-submarine warfare. So we would try to do the impossible, which is track submarines. Nobody could do it. You try to cheat and place sonar buoys where you think the submarine's going to be. And even if during war games, you'll cheat, go to areas, but it's impossible. You could drop 2 sonar buoys, get 2 here off. But anyway, that was our overall mission. And then we specialized at anti-submarine warfare. So there was like ballistic missiles and stuff like that on the ship. So that was pretty much the ship I was on. And I was on that pretty much when I wasn't in trouble. Unless when I was in trouble, then I wasn't on that ship. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, no, that's really good and interesting to know, man. So yeah, so you got into coaching, as you said. You told the story about the guy didn't show up. So then, who was the first type of fighters you was sort of training? Was it amateur guys or was it professionals? Who was the first notable person you worked with?
So for me, as from a coaching perspective, right? From a coaching perspective, who's the
Yes,
first?
yeah.
Okay, so it's actually quite interesting, and I wonder if this particular person will remember this. So okay, so when I starting to really get my chops in coaching, one of the gyms I was at, I don't think it still exists, but it's called Fight House, New York City. Now I'm gonna say a name that doesn't get a lot of respect here, and that name is Joey Gamache.
Oh yes.
Joey Gamache, who was training, right? So Joey Gamache, unbelievable coach, smart guy. He's one of those people that obviously got the raw end of the stick as a boxer, with weight class and business and things the way his career worked out. But Joey Gamache is a brilliant guy, southpaw, great southpaw teacher. And guess who he was coaching at that time? Andy Lee.
Yes,
So
yes.
every single day at the gym, Andy Lee might not remember this. I got videos. I got videos. Not training Andy Lee, but Joey Gamache in the gym, Andy Lee, and whoever else. I don't even remember the names. I'm so bad. Whoever else was in the gym at that time. So I would say at the beginning of my career, I spent a lot of time around Joey Gamache. And then I don't know if you ever heard of a name named Michael Olajide. So Michael Olajide fought Iran Barkley. He's a boxing guy. He has a patch over his eye.
Oh yeah,
He
I
wears
know
a
him.
patch. He does a jump rope thing.
He's good friends with my friend Ben Doughty. He does a show with him called it's with Ben Doughty and Gary Stretch. They call it Sugar, Silk and Stretch. Yeah.
Right. And even Ben Doughty, if I'm pretty sure Ben Doughty knows who Barry Robinson is. And we go back to Rooney's gym. I know him since Rooney's gym. Anyway, so I would say around that time.
Oh, what happened there, man? Hold on. Gonna try and get him back in. Yeah, Michael. Yeah, Silk. Yeah, he fought Michael Nunn as well. Actually, Michael Olajide. Yeah, the Silk. Hold on. I think Barry Robinson's just cut out. He's gonna try and get back in. 1 second. Sorry, guys. Sorry. He's Hold on. Here we go.
I think we lost you.
Yeah, I lost you. So, but I think it might be your Thailand Wi-Fi, man.
Yeah, it's funny too because I wanted to explore like the river, the Chao Phraya River up north because I wanted to. We could talk about investment later, so I wanted to stay in the area to kind of get a feel. So I'm actually not even staying condo is. I'm investigating a particular area to buy a condo. But anyway, so we were talking about
Michael Olajide because he fought Michael Nunn as well. But
yeah.
you were saying about
He sure did. So at that time, I was doing what most New York trainers do. So if you're a trainer in New York in terms of like trying to make money and get clients, you train wherever you have your clients at. So for example, I had clients that were businessmen that were down at Church Street Boxing Gym. So I'd have some fighters over there. And then I'd have some fighters up at, clients up at Kingsway Boxing Gym. And that's kind of the way we did things. And so I'm trying to think of the first boxer that I spent time with in New York. So you have the whole Olajide crew and just the around and Andy Lee and those fighters that were around. But I wouldn't say that I worked with any of them exclusively as a coach. It was more like helping other coaches. Coach tell me hold the pads, do this, and doing what most young coaches do. And that's pretty much my first experiences, I would say, coaching and being around boxing. But it really wasn't until I full-time decided to leave the States that I really got to work with fighters exclusively as a young coach, not, full stop.
yeah, okay. So then yeah, tell us about how, because now we're going to the main I think that a lot of people want to know. So how did you get involved with, say, Lawrence Okolie?
That's a really good. I don't think Lawrence has ever told it, but the truth is that so I was really popular on YouTube. I got popular on YouTube by accident. I was just like, again, guys, I'm a group home kid, so I can promise you there wasn't no, I don't want to be an influencer, or I was some sophisticated brand. No, I was just a kid. And I was like, oh shit, I'm training people. I need to start posting videos for memories because my sister, she got pictures with, we went to the same gym. So where my sister was super social, she got, old photos with Zab Judah and Floyd Mayweather and Demetrius Salita and everybody that was in the gym. I never fucked with anybody. I was listening to System of a Down and my probably be as and so I started to take videos. I was like, if I'm going to be training people, I got to post content else. People would think I'm lying if I said I did this. So I would just start posting stuff on YouTube, training videos first. And then I started making film studies. And that became I'm sorry. Give me your question again, because I want to see why I gave you that background.
How did you get involved with training Lawrence Okolie?
Right. So Lawrence actually messaged me when he was a young amateur, and I was on YouTube. And his message, I have the screenshot to this day, and he was like, "Listen, one day I'm going to be world champion. I watch all your studies, and you're going to see me one day." That was like his first ever message to me, way before he was a pro or amateur. That was my first interaction with Lawrence Okolie. Then Lawrence would message me periodically throughout his journey. Then it come to find out, Lawrence was I was in Istanbul. This is 2017, right before New Year's, and Lawrence saw that I was in Istanbul, and I think his coach at the time, the strength guy Duncan, had a relationship in Istanbul with the basketball or whatever. So Lawrence was like, credit to Lawrence. He's like, I'm gonna come see you in Istanbul for 2 days. I mean, for anybody that's in this industry, no fighter comes to visit a coach on their own dime in another country. They don't do that. Like fighters don't do that. So credit to Lawrence. That was our first time training. So we came down to Istanbul for 2 days. I tortured the shit out of him. I got video. Guys, I think I posted him before. He's doing push-ups nonstop because he's crossing his feet as he's walking around his tire or whatever it is there. And so I told him, listen, every time you cross your feet, you got to be in push-up position, because the only way to break a bad habit in boxing, we all know, what do people say all the time? You can't change a fighter. You can't. Well, I believe you can. And I get that from the military. How? Well, the military, they put us in push-up position. That's how they taught us. And you got a choice. Either you like doing push-ups where your arms are sore, or you like figuring shit out quickly. Most people opt to figure shit out faster than they thought they could figure it out in the beginning. Push-ups is a great motivator. So that's something I brought with me into combat sports. We're not going to punish you by you getting hit with left hooks in sparring and losing brain cells and getting knocked out in fights. Your punishment is going to be these push-ups for the mistakes you made, and we're going to record it so you can go home and look at it and see yourself and be mad at yourself like, oh, I'm better than that. I could do better. So that was, for me, the process of development. So at that time, I got video with Lawrence, walking. To his credit, we're talking about a 6'5" kid, tall, strong, to come and take instruction another place, especially in this boxing industry where everything that I do is different. I'm not saying that in a better way, but everything I do language-wise, how I operate, is way different than anything most fighters will experience. So credit to Lawrence. We came down. We had a great training session. We kind of built a little bit of a bond. And it wasn't a thing like I was messaging him like, oh, let me train you. Never was like that. He was just a kid watching my film studies, and we kind of got on. And then once we met each other, like, I'm sorry, hopefully this doesn't offend anybody, but you guys got to understand, Lawrence is 6'5", I'm 6'5". Lawrence is brown skin, I'm brown skin. Lawrence is a nerd, I'm a nerd. So when Lawrence is from the hood, I'm from the hood. So without being super sensitive, and I've said it to Lawrence before, Lawrence reminds me of what I could have been like if I was raised correctly. That's what, when I look at Lawrence, I look at him as like a little brother. Like, wow, okay, that would have been a possibility for me if somebody gave two shits. That's when I look at Lawrence. So from that perspective, my bond with Lawrence, I don't know if he'd say the same thing, but I think from that perspective of being relatable on all of these different levels, I think that's where our bond that's sort of unbreakable comes from. So we eventually started working together, which comes full head to the Tyson Fury camp in 2018, where 258 wanted to give me a chance to show what I can do as a coach. And needless to say, I put on the absolute clinic and taught Ben Davison, my son, everything he knows today about boxing. They got the tapes, bro. They got the tapes. I don't want to talk too crazy. They got the tapes, but it's okay.
Oh man, I love that. So I remember you first hit me up because you saw Henry Okolie, Lawrence's brother. He was saying some stuff like, because I said that apart from the Shane McGuigan's time he was with, the best coach I'd seen Lawrence with, this is what I said on the Neutral Corner podcast, is there on tape, as you like to say. I said that the best coach I seen him have was yourself, Barry Robinson. I said, so what happened there? And they were saying that, well, not they, Henry was saying that he felt that your training was, he was a bit too like hardcore, because I think he said that, like you'd be like, yeah, tomorrow be ready for 6, and at like at 5:50 you'd be like, hey, let's get your boots. Da, 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 da. So yeah, what was it? What was the
Let's talk
ultimate
about
thing
it.
that broke down a relationship? Yeah, let's get into that.
Let's talk about it. So, first of all, I want to shout out to all the Okolies. I love Henry, good people. I had nothing. Love Lawrence.
Yeah, it's
The
my guy.
mom, the messaged me when that, like, apologizing, and I respect, nothing but respect to her also. So there's certain things that people know, but I was obviously talking about things in public. Maybe there's better being politically correct, especially when you start to bring in race into things. And we'll touch on that as we go. But uh, what Henry was saying, though, I took a little bit of exception to it. Here's why. We need context, and context is very important. When I started working with Lawrence Okolie in the Tyson Fury camp, he was coming off the Matthew the Has, Matty.
Oh, Matty Haskins.
If
Matty
we all
Haskins.
go and the Matty Askin fight. So we all go in the Matty Askin fight and look up Sky News, what Sky News said about the fight. Everybody called it one of the worst fights in British history. I'm not saying that to knock Lawrence. I'm just saying that everybody said it was a clinch fest. It was ugly. Some people thought Lawrence should have lost. So what Henry is saying, he ain't. I love Henry, but he ain't bring no context into why. It's alleged that no coach can change a fighter. I did it in 3 months. So what are we talking about, Henry? So I showed the best Lawrence anybody has ever seen to date in 3 months. Fighting southpaw. There's an article, his next fight. Lawrence switched southpaw. Who does that in 3 months? So when Henry says, man, Coach Barry had a disciplined structure, he didn't say we was coming off the Matty Askin fight. Lawrence needed a major fucking turnaround very quick. And Barry went out and got it. He got it done. He got it done even when 258 management thought, you know what, this 500 pounds we're paying Barry to be at Tyson Fury camp, which Barry accepted because he's going to try to prove himself as a young guy. I earned that money. I earned every bit of that money, and I did what they thought was going to be impossible. And so I think when Henry was speaking about, or anybody speaks about the time with Lawrence, when they think about the discipline, when they think about what we were trying to accomplish, when we think about changing someone in a short amount of time, we got to put in context why the training the way it was. Everything we did was for a quick turnaround. I wasn't afforded. Think about this, people. I don't mean to bring race in it, but as a young black coach, go listen to the first fight I worked with Lawrence. Listen to how the guys talking. I wasn't afforded the time and opportunity. Mind you, Lawrence is fucking in that fight. He's moving to the right laterally, going to a high position. Confidence. The guy the whole time is talking about how he needs a coach that does this, and he's not even watching what the fuck's going. I don't even think he understands what Lawrence was doing. It was so sophisticated what he did from that turnaround. So when Henry says the thing he says, I take exception to it because Henry should know better than to say, you know what, we were trying to accomplish something that's deemed to be impossible in combat sports. We were trying to fix Lawrence's reputation very quickly coming off the Matty Askin fight, and I was tagged with a tough task to do all these things. And while living in Hackney in 10 square meters, I was we were supposed to, I'm negotiating with 258 management. I got Will, the manager, writing me talking about, oh, AJ is watching all the videos. Lawrence sends him all the videos, so AJ wants to train with you. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, the money got to be right because we're not going to, I love boxing so much and teaching people that let's say you put me in a GB gym. I'm just contracted to work with Lawrence. AJ comes up to me or another fighter, yo, like what you're doing. Can you just take me on the pads real quick? How am I gonna say no? All of a sudden now I'm training for free. That happens. So I'm sitting there living in Hackney, 10 square meters, living in the same place, Lawrence. I'm talking to Will like a man. I'm like, listen, hopefully you know I'm doing this just to show you what I'm about, to prove myself, to prove a point, and show you. And just, things never really worked out. So when Henry came on a pod and he said the things that he said, I just took exception to it because the context wasn't there. And whenever you say things, I think you need to have context. And as far as like the psychological training of Lawrence. Now let's touch on that. Let's be real. Let's go to some coaching shit real quick. In a fight, does the temperature of the fight change at a moment's notice?
Absolutely.
Okay. You were having success not. So what's wrong with you telling a fighter, yo, we're training at 6. You know what? We're training at 5. Isn't a fight uncomfortable?
Yeah, you can get hit with a shot you didn't see out of nowhere.
So the place, he needed a quick turnaround. So what the fuck are we doing? Do you want me to babysit him? I don't understand. What are we talking about here? So Henry came to a few training sessions. I thought he didn't really properly represent me, and that's part of the problem. And I'm going to say this: I love Henry, love Lawrence, but they'll sit there and allow people to praise these other coaches. But when it came to me, the person that looked like them the most, I didn't really see no defense when they could have stood up and been like, nah, you tripping. When we talking about Barry, you got to put some respect. I didn't see them do that. I saw them more making jokes and Coach Barry. Yeah, and I didn't like that. I didn't think that was cool. I don't think that was cool, especially given the circumstance.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because yeah, I remember the run. How many fights was you with Lawrence with? Because I remember he just went on a knockout streak.
I did. Well, first of all, Lawrence ain't tell it, but I'm gonna just tell it. Every fight for Lawrence's career up until he knocked the Polish guy out to win a world champion, right?
Yes, Glowacki.
I was the video guy from the beginning of Lawrence's career, not unofficially. Every single fight Lawrence ever had up until that Polish guy fight, Lawrence asked me to do a scouting report film study for him. So technically, if you want to say how long we've been working, it's been a little bit longer than that. Yeah, that's what I'll say about that. That doesn't answer your question, does it?
Not specifically. So, how many officially fights was you officially in the corner?
The 2. So the Lodi fight and then the Wadi Camacho fight. And let me clear this up for everybody right now.
Big up, Wadi.
Shout out to Wadi Camacho. I'm sorry, Wadi, I tortured you, but you have to understand, Wadi, you were collateral damage because I needed to install confidence in Lawrence, and we had a quick turnaround. So you just had to, you had to get it in the worst way. So sorry, Wadi. I know you'd end up like me and thinking I was a bad guy, but working with somebody, I'm all about that person, and I needed to get Lawrence a win. And then there was the pressure, of course, because I'm the young new black coach, and to get stoppages, which is not something I'm going to train for. Stoppages are going to come. So anyway, so it was the Wadi Camacho fight, and then after the Wadi Camacho, I dismissed from minicamp. I said after months, and this is the first time this is going to be said publicly, and I'm saying it. I didn't leave because I hate Lawrence or I have something with Lawrence. I left because of his management company. Listen to me very carefully, people. I made 500 pounds, British pounds, for the Tyson Fury camp.
Excuse me?
Why did I accept that money? I accepted it because they told me that that's all they can afford and give me, and I could go there and prove myself. And if I prove myself, then the doors will be open when I come to London and stuff like that. That's why I accepted the money. So I had already, and that's something for you young coaches out there. Unfortunately, you might need, but I would tell you, charge full spec, because once you set a precedent, especially, no offense, and I'm sorry, I don't want to get you in trouble if you have relationships, but when it comes to that 258 management, I don't think they're really great people. I don't think they're good people, my opinion. And they're not going to eventually take care of the people that they say they're supposed to take care of. And so, no, I don't think it's got scammed. No, I don't. You think it's got scammed, but first of all, anybody that was at that camp, I didn't get scammed. I went there and I fucking educated a lot. I'm not trying to talk shit. I don't want to talk too big, but Ben Davison got all the videos. They were secretly recording, trying to study every night what's going on. How come Lawrence left the camp as the #1 sparring partner in a very short period of time? That was because he was educating Fury and doing things that that really helped that camp out big, not just, anyway. So I had the 2 fights with Lawrence, and then after that, I left the team because I no longer wanted to do the negotiations and song and dance with 258 management. It had nothing to do with being fired. Nobody fired me. Nobody kicked me off the team. And I'll tell you what, I love Mama Okolie, and Mama Okolie let me know that also me not being there and things being made uncomfortable. From what I understand, they didn't want no African American coach, or sorry, they didn't want to. I don't think they wanted a brown coach to be coaching Lawrence in the corner, especially not someone like myself who's outspoken and kind of you can't miss me. I'm hard to miss, So yeah, and I don't think wearing that Moroccan robe to his second fight, that probably didn't work out too well either. Some people didn't like that, but I didn't get fired from that camp at all. Some people, things went the way they went. And as far as Shane McGuigan is concerned, people could say Shane did this and that, but if we was to go look at Lawrence a certain period until he started working with Shane, looks like he's fighting my system. Then all of a sudden, when you lose that, you have drills in a long time. You go back to squeezing your fist and being stressed out. And so if people really did their homework, they really see, they understand that things weren't all what they seemed to be.
Okay. Also, so was you training Lawrence? Because there's a infamous footage of him sparring Dillian Whyte. He put a clip out, and he was looking really good. It looked like he was getting the better of Dillian in there in that sparring set. So was you training him at that point as well?
No, the sparring sessions I was a part of for Lawrence was obviously Fury, and then you have Daniel Dubois. So anybody want to go look? Daniel Dubois had a fight lined up 2018 end of the year. Or 2018 end of the year, or 2018 end of the year. He had to cancel that fight after the sparring session with Lawrence. He couldn't. He can't cancel that fight. They had to cancel that fight after that. His confidence got destroyed. So obviously the Wadi, what's his name? The light skinned brother that just
Wadi Camacho. He's my good friend.
No. The younger kid. He just gave rearranged homeboy's face.
Oh, Fabio Wardley.
Fabio Wardley and all of these type of guys, but. This was a point where I think Lawrence would tell it if he's honest, and I'm pretty sure his brother would tell it. Nobody was touching sparring. It was real different. It was different timing.
Or was he sparring Fraser Clark? Fraser Clark, maybe, because he was on the GB.
I think whoever was sparring during that time. Remember, I'm not really a big name person, and whoever came and attempted sparring during that time, it's not about beating them up. My system is about controlling people and Lawrence having fun. And Lawrence was having fun. And that's what I would say was the difference in, I think, us training together. Lawrence was having a lot of fun doing it. Because think about this for a second. So go back to Henry. So Lawrence's issue, do you know why Lawrence was a clincher? Yes. Do you know why? You know the psychology behind it?
I've always thought that is because I remember in the Olympics when he fought Erislandy Savon and he got clipped and he got stopped. Or was it? He fought him before the Olympics and got stopped. And I thought from there, because when I notice a lot of fighters, when they get stopped or knocked out, they become a bit gun shy and they tend to do it as obviously a defense mechanism to sort of grab and not get caught.
Brilliant. So the reason why this is where people need to, I hate when they talk crazy about Lawrence, and I'll be his biggest defender of all time. So to sum up what you just said, and it's fact, the reason why Lawrence Okolie clinched so much, because he did it as a defense mechanism. Now let's extend that. His first defense mechanism. There's the easy answer. You know that one?
So what was the question?
Why was that his first defense mechanism? Why do you think?
So he wouldn't, so able to stifle getting caught.
Before that, you got to go before. So before we could talk about competition, we got to talk about training. So what's not happening in training that his first defense is the clinch?
Oh, that he's that he's not being taught how to fight on the inside.
No, forget inside. He's not being taught to catch the jab. He's not being taught that this position right here can stop a guy from even throwing their right hand.
Yeah.
Because the guy goes, oh, he looks like he's ready to defend. Why would I throw my right hand now? So Lawrence was never taught to catch. I'm sorry. He was never repped out uncomfortably to catch a jab, to catch the cross, catch a hook, let alone slips. Lawrence is 6'5", right? He was never taught to control someone's hands physical. He was never taught to punch the air. Like when we fought, to the air. The guy, it's like, whoa, why am I fighting now? This guy's punching. So Lawrence was never trained defense. So for everybody that talks shit about Lawrence Okolie, I'm going to say it right now, his biggest defense, you're talking shit about a kid that all he could do is show up to the gym. From there, it's on the coaches. If the coach see Lawrence Okolie walk into the gym and go 6'5", stepping with the jab, killer, knockout, downhill, strength and conditioning, then that's what Lawrence knows. So the easiest thing is Lawrence was never taught defense. That's why he clinched. He clinched because he wanted to defend himself. The reason why he used the clinch as the primary defense was not because he was scared. It's because nobody ever taught him defense. So when you see him training with me, we actually trained the clinch. I have videos at the Fury camp where you can see Ben Davison watching me bring wrestlers in from California, working with Lawrence in his stand-up. So you go watch the Whitey Camacho fight. Look at his clinch game. We're not clinching for 12 rounds. He clinch. Okay, now I'm gonna advance the clinch. I'm gonna clinch. We get language behind it. Pay attention, boxing people. We talk my shit. Now instead of being no, I gotta get to my underhook. If I get to my underhook, I lift this shoulder up. I can slide you off of me. No problem. I don't need the ref. If I throw my hook, I don't need to bring it back to my face. Now I'm gonna sit this on your head. Before the referee comes over, I'm gonna open my hand and turn you and get some more offense. Stop Whitey Camacho. Lawrence didn't have those things. Nobody taught him that. They just told him, you clinch, you suck. Come on, offense. That's why Lawrence's defense wasn't good. And that's what we were trying to work on and improve. So those were the two fights I worked with Lawrence.
Okay. So how do you think he's been doing? Obviously, he went to Bridgerweight, managed to capture the WBC title one with Joe Gallagher, and now he's moved up to heavyweight. So how do you think he'll be able to employ his style in as a heavyweight now?
I don't know what his style is currently. I'll ask you. What's Lawrence's current style?
Well, he blasted. I can't really say because he blasted the guy out in the first round at Bridgerweight. So
and to me, if Lawrence was to reach out to me and be like, "Yo, Barry, can you take a look at this fight?" You know what I'm going to tell Lawrence? I'm going to say, Lawrence, listen. In fights, you're going to knock the guy out. Why don't you get 10 reps of jab defense first? Why don't you get 3 reps of blocking the overhand physical? Bend your legs, catch it physical, and then maybe one of those times you try to catch and return your right hand. Like, let's get some development done. So we had a fight, moves up to Bridgerweight. What development from his last fight, from the fight before? And the fight before. You know, Lawrence is a kid, and let me break this down. Lawrence is a kid that plays all these Call of Duty. He's the type of guy that studies the tutorials on how to master the game. So when you think about his game, his fighting game, his actual fighting, he's not being coached like the actual person that he is. So if you ask me, and if Lawrence was to ask me and I look him in the face, I'll be like, bro, you're bullshitting because you're 6'5", you know your head control game got to be great. So you know you got to be repping that out. You know that you got to get 20 to 30 rounds of footwork drills. Your footwork is your base for everything you do. So if you Lawrence is, so think about this. I'm sorry, no offense to anybody that's here, if you know, in terms of race and things like that, but Lawrence is this wonderful 6'7" Nigerian British specimen of a human being. Why is he a robot? Is that because he has no rhythm as a brown skinned person, or is it because he's being trained that way?
Yeah, I don't know. Hold on. Yeah, it must be he's been trained that way.
So Lawrence can only do what he's trained now. Lawrence is at fault. If Lawrence goes to a coach and the coach says to him, look, son, offense, you got to get back the punch and power step in. Lawrence is smart enough. He's a grown fucking man. He's opening businesses. He's smart enough to go, look, coach, love what you're telling me, but this is actually not what I need. I need to work on my foundation. So when he was working with Sugar Hill, you know you was training all offense. Nobody, come on, Lawrence. You know you was training all offense. So you're either going to be part of the problem, which is everybody being, no offense, groupie, oh, Sugar Hill. What is he teaching? No offense. No offense to Sugar. What is he teaching? When Sugar Hill wins, it's the greatest thing anybody's ever seen. But what about all the losses? What? So think about, okay. Now let me talk my shit a little bit. So Sugar Hill had Lawrence how many fights?
uh, 5. About
Who
that.
do he fight better under? Me or Sugar Hill? What his style? If we talk about
I,
styles, who we fight better
I,
under?
I personally think yourself.
So I'm not trying to say that about me. Sorry, I should preface that. I'm talking about my system. So Lawrence, and I'm saying this to Lawrence now. In that period where we're in London, and this goes back to Henry and all those guys, they had every opportunity to go, you know what, guys, if we're going to take care of anybody, it has to be Coach Barry. So, the reason why I'm saying that is Lawrence knows better. He knows better. He knows better than if somebody gets him and goes, oh man, you got to be pumping your jab. And we're like, come on, bro, really? Like, does Lawrence not know that? You might as well let anybody, if that's what you need. If you need to pay a trainer to tell you, what do you need? What do you need? He needs Sugar Hill to tell him that. He needs another coach. I don't want to name no names. He needed a coach going into his pocket for 30% to tell him that.
30%. That's a lot, bro.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know what's going on right now. You know that people are signing not just coaching contracts, but management, the nutrition, and all of a sudden after the fight, I see a lot of people running after the fighters. Nobody talks about that. We don't talk about that too much. So so those are decisions that those are decisions that people make. But I can tell you what, Lawrence knows better. Lawrence knows better.
Yeah, I hear that, man. So, do you still speak to him at all, or?
Yeah, me and Lawrence, we're good. We're solid, but we speak more about business when we speak. Obviously, Lawrence is a businessman. I try to be a businessman myself, so I just keep a foot on what he's getting into and what he's doing. And Lawrence is he's a flighty guy. I'm a flighty guy, so we speak to each other in passing, not like a dedicated. We'll have a couple of conversations a year now, but less about combat sports stuff. I think, like I said, Lawrence and I bond is, for me, I see him as a little brother before even a student and all that. And he could have did great things together, fighter and coach probably, but maybe for his growth, maybe for my growth, our situations had to go the way they went. So Lawrence is my guy.
I hear that, man. I hear that. So then also, how did you get into training like Jose Aldo and Cyborg, and what was it like training those people? Great champions from the UFC.
So mixed martial arts, getting into mixed martial arts was by chance. So even sorry, somebody's trying to call me. Okay, so getting into kickboxing, mixed martial arts by chance. This is how it happened. So I didn't want to live in the States. I wanted to travel, and so I also wanted to train fighters. So I decided to leave the States, in which everybody said, Barry, you're crazy. Everybody from New York, Michael Lodge, everybody was like, what are you doing? Joey Gamache, everybody, what are you doing? You're nuts. So the first place I went to was Norway, because Norway's not a fighting country, but I was just going because I wanted to travel, and I heard Norway was a great country. So anyway, I went to Norway, and I didn't know what to do when I got there. I didn't have a plan. Like, I wasn't there for holiday or nothing. So I walked into a gym and said, listen, I'm a boxing coach from New York. Can I take one of your fighters on a pad, show you what I could do? And that's how I got my first gig kind of training in Europe. And it was with kickboxers. I guess that was the point. So it was kickboxers, Muay Thai fighters. And I started training with them on accident. And that led into me in Holland. And anybody that knows anything about the Netherlands and Holland, that's the home of Dutch kickboxing. And so I ended up working with all these legendary Dutch kickboxers, from Melvin Manhoef to Andy Sauer. Jose Aldo used to train with Andy Sauer. So he used to come over, Fedor Emelianenko, and just
What
ran
about
into training with all these guys.
Ernesto Hoost?
I never trained with Ernesto Hoost, but yes, this kind of vein, this vein. So it was really interesting because for me at that time, remember, I'm a boxing coach, so I'm just trying to do pad work with the guy. I'm doing what most boxing coaches would do for a mixed martial artist or a kickboxer. But segue to now, all of that experience really helped me, because what I learned about, like, for example, now boxers, we're so close-minded, we shit on kickboxing and MMA. But if you really look at the difference between the sports, do you know what the difference is, really? Like, is it like, to you, is there a big difference between MMA, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, in your opinion?
MMA kick. Well, obviously the kicking aspect is going to be different. The stance is different.
Is it different?
I know.
Okay, I dare you for a second to pull up a screenshot or pull up an image for yourself of Conor McGregor fighting, pull up an image of Ilia Topuria, pull up an image of Max Holloway, and look at their feet and tell me if one leg's in the front and one leg's in the back or not.
Yeah, but when you're talking about Conor McGregor, remember his style is more stand up and about punching, and he was an amateur boxer back in Ireland. So guys like him and the guy who knocked out the guy at UFC the other day, I can tell they come from boxing background, so their stance is a bit different to say a Matt Hughes and a Tito Ortiz. Do you know what I'm saying?
So let's do this. Let's do a quick little test. Pull up a photo of Khabib Nurmagomedov, a fighting photo, just an action photo. Let's see if one leg's in the front and one leg's in the back.
Yeah, it's always going to be one leg to the front. No one's going to stand square.
No. So hear what I'm saying. So the reason why I say that to you is because we try to say that the combat sports are different, but didn't Mike Tyson stand square at times? Didn't Mike Tyson at times stand with one leg in the front, one leg in the back? So my point in saying that is in boxing, you can stand square with a purpose. You can stand super sideways with the purpose. You could actually do the same thing in MMA. You could do the same thing in karate. You could do the same thing in kickboxing. You could do the same thing in Muay Thai. So I see you looking at stances now, and you're saying to yourself right now, holy shit, that Coach Barry, he's crazy as a fucking fox, but he ain't lying to you. He ain't lying to you.
Yeah. When you put it like that, then it makes sense. So
here's my thing with the combat sport.
Because Mike Tyson, when he first initially comes out, he does do that with the feet square. So you got me there.
Okay, no, it's not about getting you. So it's an important conversation we should have. So to me, what really worked out for me and why, if my niche was only boxing, I wouldn't be successful. I don't want to talk about success in terms of monetary, but it's hard to make money as a coach. Everybody knows that. But if I was a boxing niche, I wouldn't have been successful in any way monetarily. So the reason why I say that is because what I figured out as a coach was, oh shit, guess what they do in kickboxing, Muay Thai, and MMA, brother? They move left, they move right, they move forwards, they move backwards. In boxing, we move left, we move right, we move forwards, and we move backwards. In MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai, as a matter of fact, my wrestling people, so I have relationships with a lot of D1 wrestlers. And I do consulting work with them. Let me give you some wrestling phrases and see if we could tie them to other sports. In wrestling, they say, attack the re-attack. So have you ever heard somebody in boxing say counter the counterpuncher?
Yes.
So in Division I wrestling, they have a fundamental concept called attack the re-attack. In wrestling, they have a fundamental concept in jiu-jitsu called control the head, control the body. Ironically, you start to look at George Foreman, you start to look at Muhammad Ali, you look at that fight, what made that fight great? Muhammad Ali controlled the head, so he was able to control Foreman's body, he was able to limit his punch count. So fundamentally speaking, boxing, kickboxing, MMA, Muay Thai are not different. The only thing different are the strikes. That's it. Nothing else.
Okay. I hear that, man. So what would you say is the difference? Do you think that there's a difference in like the work ethic between MMA fighters and boxers? Because obviously like, training Cyborg, Aldo, and then obviously training boxing fighters. What would you say is the difference between them? Yeah.
There's a fundamental difference, and I don't think it doesn't start physically, it starts mentally. So mixed martial artists have to go learn boxing. They have to go learn kickboxing. They have to learn Muay Thai. If they want to use a karate, just like MVP and bouts, and just Add that to their game for 10 seconds or 5 seconds. They need to go train that. What do boxers need to go train?
Boxing and fitness.
Why is it that boxers don't go to black belt jujitsu and say, listen, I really need to work on my hand fighting game because I'm looking at Roberto, Tommy Hearns, looking at all these old fighters, and how come they have glove control games? How can I take the things in jiu-jitsu and add them from a stand-up position to my control game? How come boxers don't go to a Muay Thai gym and go, look, I want to do that 45-minute clinch session you guys do where you're working on grabbing a head and turning it into an elbow. I want to be able to do that with punches, so I need to learn these positions. How come we don't go nowhere else and learn anything?
Well, there is fighters who do that, and I notice a lot of them are very successful. I.e., people like Andre Ward, Alexander Usyk, even Zab Judo, who did the 50 blocks, from your city. Usyk has done Samba wrestling. Andre Ward, Virgil Hunter said that he used to teach wrestling. Obviously, Terence Crawford, he's got a wrestling dojo in his actual gym, and he's a former wrestler. I've seen him even grappling with some actual proper pro wrestling guys. So, the ones who have done multiple things, I have noticed they are very successful in what they do, and they're usually
now why is that not widespread, Diddy? Well, so think about this for a second. So a lot of boxing people. What's the attitude of boxing people towards other things, especially other combat sports?
That they are beneath us, and we are the elite. We are the numero uno, and the be-all and end-all.
So the difference between boxers, boxing coaches, and mixed martial artists is that in the mixed martial arts community, there's always a sense of development. We have to improve this. We have to get better. In a boxing community, there are still gyms that you and I could tour right now. You, me, and Blackhearted, we could go together. We could tour gyms, and the gyms are going to start the training with 4 rounds of jump rope. Then they're going to move on to 4 rounds of shadow boxing. The coach may not be watching the shadow boxing while they're doing it. He might look up once in a while and go, pump that jab, ride, and get back to doing. So I guarantee anybody want to put money on it, we could do a training trip, typically analyze what goes on in boxing gyms, and I guarantee 80 to 90% of the boxing gyms, current training structure is jump rope 4 rounds, shadow box 4 rounds. Maybe they're doing sparring 8 rounds, pad work, or if it's not a sparring day, double and bag, speed bag, pat. Where's the development at?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's very repetitive and what everybody's doing, but that's what it's about.
Lawrence needs that, for example?
Sorry?
Do you think that type of training benefits, for example? Oh, I'm gonna give you. Forget. Let's take Lawrence out of this. Watch what I do here. We're going to agree that Anthony Joshua has won heavy champion. We're going to agree that he's a boxer, but we also have to agree that he's new to boxing. He's not a boxer. He's a boxer. You understand what I'm saying? He's an athlete. He's an athlete. Right. He's an athlete. So what does Anthony Joshua need? Does he need 4 rounds of this or that? Or does he need development with, here's the key word, with overload, where he's uncomfortable doing these drills that he has to do? For example, one of his biggest problems is standing with his legs super wide. So he's 6'6". When he stands like this, he's 6'3". Now I don't have to go uphill to punch him. He's my height. I'm helping him out. So if Daniel Dubois is 6'2", and Anthony Joshua's fighting at 6'2",
well,
so how does Anthony Joshua?
That's a key point you just said there, because Daniel Dubois is 6'4", Anthony Joshua is 6'6". But if you remember, when Anthony Joshua went in, Daniel Dubois actually chopped a shot downwards on Joshua. So Joshua was probably about 6'1" at that point, because he was.
Is that not unacceptable? Is that not unacceptable?
That's 5 inches. That's a lot.
Right. So now here's where my heart, as much as I want to sometimes hate Anthony Joshua and be like, look, you had a chance to do the right thing and you didn't, my heart goes out to him. Here's why. Because the guy is desperately trying to learn. You could fault him for many things, but he is desperately trying to learn. And so if he spent, I got to see the video camp, but if he spent round after round like this, how is he going to fight? So guys like Anthony Joshua, he needs more than 4 rounds of this, 4 rounds of that, punch shield, punch hard. He needs to actually fix his base. But who's going to come in and tell? Look, so now here's the thing about me, and I'm not trying to talk about me. I just want to give you an example. I don't mind telling any fighter, champion, boxer, kickboxer, hey, what are we doing today, coach? We're walking around in a circle to the left and to the right. We're going to layer cake it. I have no problems doing that. People will see me do that, and they'll come on a podcast and go, Barry was that military. He was hard. Well, what do we do in a fight? Do we not go left, right, forwards, and backwards? Do we need to be able to defend when we're doing that and be offensive? That's basic agility. But who spends time training that? And who needs it the most? You know who needs it the most? The guys that are athletes coming to boxing.
Yeah. Well, good question. What a comment by October Red. Shout out at October Red Boxing. She says Joshua has done that before when he boxed Ruiz, boxed him at Ruiz's height instead of his own.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm not much. I'm in agreement with you, October Red, and believe it or not, you know, if my Instagram page was still, you know, live and lit, you would see that as soon as the fight was over, I chopped the training clip with a clip of the fight, and it was right then and there, plain as day to see. And again, my heart goes out for Joshua and Joshua and Okolie, because it's sad. You have these guys that are 6'5", 6'6". They got these guys fighting at 6'1". Then you got these guys that are athletic, beautiful, black, and they're fighting like they're no rhythm, no. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't get it. For me, I don't get it. Understand it. But these are the coaches they want these people to train with. So allegedly, these coaches. Yeah. So okay. I'm okay. I'm a little bit venomous. I'm talking a little bit too much now, but you get my point. So yeah. My point was saying, you asked me who's.
Now go on. Sorry. Hello. Oh man. Tyler. Hello. Barry. Yeah, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So I said, if you ask me who the better students are, and it's not just fighters, but the better students, coaches, and fighters are in mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing, and so let me give you an example of that. I don't want to talk crazy. So one of my relationships is with Penn State University. It's a great relationship of mine. If anybody looks up Penn State University, they're the most winningest wrestling program in the world right now in terms of D1 athletes. The coach, Cale Sanderson, went undefeated as a wrestler, and he said something to me I never heard in combat sports before. We was having this deep conversation, and he said, oh yeah, Barry, I got the data on every workout of every athlete I have for 10 years. Goes to the office and pulls out the data. How many coaches you know in boxing got data? Hey, look, let's talk about what data is. How many coaches in boxing right now you can talk to, professional coaches that you respect, can pull out a log and go, oh, this month we caught 2,500 jabs. I know my fighter got a good jab defense. Like, we got to get confidence. No offense to nobody. We got to get confidence from, instead of numbers, instead of data, we got to get confidence from strength and conditioning. We got to get confidence from nutrition. Okay, those are fine. But where's the confidence from, I caught 2,500 jabs this month. Nobody's seeing me with the jab.
Barry, listen to me. I'm an advocate of what you're saying, because I am against all that strength and conditioning, because I say, what is the point of all these fighters doing strength and conditioning, but you're not more stronger than fighters of yesteryear, and you're not more conditioned than fighters of yesteryear who was not doing strength and conditioning training or didn't have strength and conditioning coaching. But you're not stronger than them, and you're not more conditioned than them, because they was fighting more rounds and they were fighting at a better pace. So what is the point of this strength and conditioning? I think a lot of these strength and conditioning coaches are nicking a living. They are physical education teachers. They are fitness first, anytime fitness, the gym group, 24-hour center, PTs, in my opinion, in most of these cases.
Let's okay. So we're gonna give them a hard time, but let's talk about specifics. So let's give an example here, right? So if I take a ball and I throw this medicine ball against the wall 15 times, I'm strong how many times?
15 times.
Okay, but for a 12-round, 3-minute boxing fight, don't I need to be strong 12 rounds, 3 minutes?
Yeah,
So why are
36
we
minutes.
training for? So why are we training? So the training doesn't make any sense to begin with. So you're training to have 15 total explosions in you. I can go hard here 15 times, but if that don't work out, I'm fucked. Joshua.
Yeah.
And that's not, again, you the athletes are somewhat to blame because these are grown men and they are in charge of filtering what people are saying to them. But also boxing is such a cowboy Wild West sport. Do you think that anybody could come into basketball? Okay, actually, here's a good point. This is a tough point. It's sad to hear, but watch when you hear this how crazy this is. So let's take the NFL. Can you pay $50 to the Minnesota Vikings and go run routes with the wide receivers?
Never.
So why in boxing why can anybody come train at a gym? Why can you pay a membership and come do whatever the hell you want? Why do we accept any person? Like, for example, if I was running a gym today, if I started a gym, I would say, first of all, I want to interview people. I need defensive-minded people. I need people that enjoy shutting other people down. I don't want a gung-ho because it's not going to fit. So, but in boxing, we have to take any and everybody. The membership,
Do you know why?
to me, the membership system is the worst thing that's happening in combat sports. And there's no coach in the world that could train 20 people. You can't do it. You
Yeah,
can't
but do you
do
know
it.
why
When I was
that is?
training Lawrence, it was a full-time job, just him.
Yeah, but do you know why that is? Because boxing is considered like a working class, blue collar man sport. So the coaches a lot of times, especially back in the day, especially amateur coaches, they don't make no money. But a lot of pro coaches, they only make money when the fighters are fighting. And unfortunately, these days, a lot of fighters are fighting just once or twice a year. Obviously, back in the day, they were fighting a lot more often. Nowadays, I'll say in the last 18 months, obviously, the fighters are now being forced to get more active, obviously, with, Riyadh and the TVs and broadcasters. So they're fighting a bit more often now. So I think that's why, because it's considered a working class or blue collar chip man sport in, say, in America, that's why they're doing the membership schemes to stay afloat. Because a lot of gyms are closing down. Look at Gleason's gym now. If you go there now, shout out to Blimp. I'm sure you know him.
That was my first trainer. That was my
Oh
first
wow.
trainer. Blimp and Country are my first trainers.
Oh wow! So there you have it. But look at the gym now. Compared to what it was in the glory days, now it just looks run down. It's just like, yeah, it's a shell of itself. So gyms like that would probably be forced to end up getting people memberships and people going there for nostalgia, just to say, yeah, I was in Gleason's. It's a money thing, unfortunately. But it's because they need funding. A lot of things like NFL, NHL, NBA. They've got a lot more sponsorships behind the actual governing body and organization. Boxing doesn't have that, unfortunately.
And that is why the sport of boxing, excuse me, I'm just trying to get my charger in so you don't blame my tight Wi-Fi. Okay. So no, that's where combat sports is suffering. Combat sports is suffering because you can't develop to scale. You understand? Like I have to keep you in the gym. If I lose your $50, I can't pay my light bill. So I need you. It doesn't matter if you're shit. And guess what that means? It means I have to go from doing coaching to customer service. Once I start doing customer service, I'm no longer coaching. And unfortunately, a lot of coaches now are customer service representatives. They're not, and I'm not shitting on the coaches. I'm saying that it's hard to coach in this
No, that's
climate.
how
You have
it is.
to. Sorry, say
Yeah.
that.
No, so that's how it is. Unfortunately, it's not that, and I don't think the coaches want to do that. It's this position that they've been sort of cornered into in most cases, I believe.
And if you ask someone like myself, like if you said, Barry, do you see yourself like coaching a boxer full time, playing that 10% game? I tell you, no, that's just not going to happen. So I tell you straight up, like it's just not going to happen. It's just that it's not about the money. It's just, Okay, so in the NFL, basketball, baseball, the owner employs the coach. He hires a coach that's going to be right to run his team, right? Okay.
Hmm.
So, but if boss employs you, but that's a bad thing because I don't need my boss. I don't need my boss being the guy that I need to yell at and tell, yo, you're fucking late today. Push up position. I'm telling that to my boss. It's not a good
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, it's true. Yeah. So I noticed that you've got, you was
So
in
when Henry
Oman.
says to you,
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
sorry, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, you go. You go. You said so. When Henry says,
I was going to say, so when Henry says to you that Barry was hard and disciplined, that's because I've always been about coaching first. And so I understand why that might be different for a lot of people, or where people might go, Barry's the sergeant, because a boxing coach, I'm supposed to be like, make you love me and like me and be likable. And so I think that might throw people off. That's what I was going to say, was kind of marrying that together, how it's difficult to coach. But I guess that's the reason why maybe my careers went the way it went, because I don't mind coaching people. And I want to win. I don't want to lose. So anyway, that's all I was going to say.
okay, yeah. So I noticed, yeah, you was in, you've been in Oman. It's a country that is on my bucket list. Uh, my wife, she said she's not very interested in going, but I said we got to go to Oman. So yeah, you said that you like the way it looked, and you've been in Thailand for a very little. So what made you move out to Thailand, and what's life like been for you there compared to the United States? Because I was in Malaysia. Because I was gonna do, I remember we was originally meant to try and do the interview when I was in Malaysia, because I thought, yeah, we'd be on the same sort of what do you call it, time zone. And yeah, how do you feel life's like out in the far uh, East Asia compared to the United States?
I think that's a great question. It's also a very fair question. So boots on the ground, and I'm pretty sure you might have saw this in Malaysia. There's something going on in Southeast Asia right now where they are growing exponentially in so many ways, morally, socially, industry, like the list just goes on and on. And so Thailand is a place that people, especially Westerners, we stereotype for lady boys or partying. But if that's what Westerners choose to see, well, I'm going to tell my story a little bit different. You have different type of foreigners here. The foreigners that spend the money, the foreigners that's online for Gucci, the foreigners that are buying apartments, let me tell you where they're from. They're from India, the Middle East, and China, South Korea, Japan. If you ask me right now where the money is in the world, it's in those countries. Whereas most Westerners, not older gentlemen like you and I, but most Westerners come here, they're spending, budget hotel, budget holiday, and it's really telling. I'm not shitting on the Westerners. It's just telling of what's going on in the world right now. The more I travel, the more I'm seeing this shift. And obviously, I also lived in the country, Georgia, and it's the same thing. Who's buying apartments there? Who's traveling and spending money? Like as it's again, Middle Eastern, Indian, Chinese, South Korean, Japanese. Very interesting. Thai people. And so when you look at Thailand, Thailand is a country that looks up to Japan and South Korea, kind of their big brothers for the standard of life they have. However, everybody wants to come to Thailand because the standard of life is just as so, except you get to be who you are as your own person. So I would say that Thailand has something figured out that a lot of countries haven't. And Thai people, you got to give them a lot of credit. Thai people, how you look, how I look, it could be a Russian, it could be, they don't care what you're doing. Just don't break the law. Nobody cares. Nobody's on like, I've never felt less black, and I say that in the, hopefully you understand what I'm saying at. I don't feel like I'm walking around, oh, guy. I don't feel like you're not, like nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn. It's not really that big of a deal. Thai people, first of all, they excel at minding their bleeping business and doing their own thing. They're hustlers. And then their society is advancing so far. For example, right now, I could go on my phone right now and order Michelin star food. For anybody that doesn't know what Michelin food is, Michelin is a food guide that gives 1, 2, and 3 stars to chefs around the world. I can order Michelin star food on my phone right now for what most people would pay thousands for in Miami. So like, I could mention, I could go on and on and on, but there's so many advantages of living in Southeast Asia now and in other places in the world, not just Southeast Asia.
Yeah, because when I was in Borneo, as well as in mainland Malaysia this year, yeah, they got that app called Grab, and you can order Michelin star food and all that for very, very cheap, very reasonable prices. It's lovely, and I was very surprised in Malaysia that they had a lot of foods that that we get in Jamaica, like breadfruit, jackfruit, ackee, obviously fresh coconuts. Yeah, there was various other ones as well, and I was shocked when I saw it. So yeah, it's a lot different to what the perception is in the West and what the media tells you. So that's why also another question I would have: why is it that most Americans don't have passports? Because that's been a thing for a very long time.
Yeah, that's an easy one to answer, right? So when you look at the land mass of America, right? When you look at the land mass of people, they don't consider traveling outside because, first of all, America has run media, television, movies, things for many, many years. So first thing, like most Americans that think I'm crazy because I'm traveled so much, and obviously I have a lot of American friends, the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, we have everything over here." Right? That's we have everything. So why should I leave? So that's I think the first reason why a lot of people don't travel. And then second, it's like this unknown thing that I think maybe people are afraid of something unknown and something different. And this might sound really weird, but a lot of humans don't realize in America that there are human beings there. They are going to work tomorrow. Some will be going to school. Some will be having a drink. Some will be going shopping. You get the gist of it. They don't realize that we all do the same shit. That's the most beautiful lesson I've learned from travel as an American or a black person or whatever you want to call it is it doesn't matter what religion you're in. It doesn't matter what culture you come from. When you wake up, where somebody is doing the same shit you're doing. They're going to work. They're trying to create some shit. They're trying to sell some shit. They're trying to hook up with some shit. We're all doing the same stuff. And I think, the world really, people need to wake up, realize that, the world is a beautiful place and nobody's better than anybody. It does, and I'm talking about, when I say we're all doing the same shit, I'm talking about even the people that's in the mountains in Peru that cut salt box and then walk their llamas 2 days to trade their salt box for clothes and take their llamas back and then hike down a mountain again so they can get vegetables. Those people are doing the same thing that you and I will be doing tomorrow, which is working. And so that's the beautiful thing that I think I discovered about the world that a lot of Americans probably don't know. They think that, I don't know what they think about other people or what they're doing. Sorry. When you talk about landmass, so let's have some empathy for American people. Here's the empathy. The only thing I liked about being in London was one thing. You want to know what that was? When I'm in London, I only like one thing about London.
Fish and
Is
chips?
that you can I'm sorry?
Fish and chips?
No, not even. Here's the best thing about London, and you know this because you're a traveler. You can wake up tomorrow, say, you know what? Fuck my schedule. Everybody, I'm going to put you on hold for a day. You can go on any website you want, whatever you use, Kiwi, Google Flights, and you probably could book a flight to beautiful Agadir, Morocco for 150 pounds. Tomorrow, wake up from one of the local areas, or, not the major, but you can do that tomorrow. Americans can't do that. They can't wake up and go to, like, it's expensive to travel within the States. Even to go to Canada from the States is very expensive. So I think the benefits to living in Europe and Asia and other places is that you can wake up and change cultures and afford it. Whereas most Americans, in order for them to travel abroad, if they're not going to Jamaica, they have to cross the pond, and that probably costs a little bit more money for them.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because so then what about when you was living in you said you was living in Georgia? Because I remember, funny enough, there's a Georgian fighter from New York he was from New York, that madman.
The boxer, yeah.
Yeah. I remember when he was meant to fight Billy Joe Saunders, he was like, "Hey, look, heavyweight." Yeah. Did you meet it? Do you know him? What's it?
No, I don't know him, but they were setting that guy up. I feel bad for him. Like, we have this thing in boxing where we give people a stereotype, and we expect him to run with it. And that's what happened with him. And he just ran with it. People have to understand, like, when you meet Georgian people, Georgia was in the Soviet Union, which it came out, less than 30 years ago or something like that. And then they had a war with Russia in 1991. And then they just came out of that war. So when we talk about 1991, they didn't have lights all the time or computers or internet. So Georgian people are very raw country and a raw people. And so when you see them having success, a small nation of 3 million, world scale, it's really quite an accomplishment because they're literally like this country that nobody talks about, that was just as oppressed as the next country, for all of these years. So I think that guy, he got his chance to get out of Georgia, which is a great thing for him, and go to America. And they said, listen, you're the crazy guy from Georgia in boxing. Just go in there, and they sparred him a lot, and there you have it. That's New York boxing scene for you too at that.
Yeah. All right. And lastly, I'll let you tell us about that Golden Gloves fight. You said you was going to tell me later.
Bro, so I'm going to tell you what I remember, and then the rest I tell you what my friends in the video showed me on Recollection. So there's a few key points here that's really important. One, train the right way for your fights, and then let me move on. So this fight starts, I tell everybody I'm fighting. All my coworkers, all my friends, everybody. Everybody's coming to this fight. I was confident. You don't invite everybody to a fight unless you're that you put work in, right? So this is the way the Golden Gloves work. I don't know how it works in England, but here's how the Golden Gloves or amateur boxing works in New York. So you have your amateur passbook. Whenever there's a show, because there's so many boxers in New York, you just show up. It's not like you don't know who you're going to be fighting 3 weeks. That doesn't exist. So you show up with your passbook, they fucking match you, you fight. So this is the Golden Gloves. We're fighting at Lehman College in the Bronx. It's the beginning round, obviously. Jarrell Miller was also my teammate at that time. And he actually fought and avenged me the next fight, but that's neither here nor there. So shout out to Jarrell Miller. That's my guy, crazy as he is, but I always respect him for that because he showed love that fight. He was going to go out there and do his thing for me. But anyway, so there was a few things wrong, and you guys can laugh at this. This is funny. So you get to the show, you give your passbook. I sit down. My trainer at the time is this old boxer named Dylan Carew from the island somewhere. I forget which islands. So Dylan's wrapping my hands, and I hear, excuse me, I hear first fight, Robinson and Gunza. And in my head, I go, and Gunza, like, that's not local, I'm like, Gunza. So you turn around. So I'm getting my hands wrapped. I turn around, I want to see who Ngunza is. So this fight, I was 260 pounds. I wanted to cut down to 240. And I wanted to be fast and light on my feet. I had some new custom shorts made. They was baby blue. I had the Italians on them. I planned on be fast and furious. When I looked up and saw Patrick Ngunza, everybody go on Instagram right now so you understand. Look at my guy Patrick's head. When I looked up and I turned around and I saw Patrick Ngunza, I said, "Oh shit! Like this could be a problem." I said that. This motherfucker was 260 Congo, like Congo still. Like he wasn't like Americanized Congo, like he was Congo still Congo. Like real talk. Like you see what I'm doing here? I don't know. He was still Congo, bro. So I looked up and I was like, "Oh, this might not go correctly, right?" So we walk out. They call our names out, and guess who's the announcer for this fight? England's favorite announcer, my guy, David Diamante. Everybody that doesn't know, David Diamante is the old school New York. He called all the amateur fights. If you fought as an amateur during that period, David Diamante is probably the announcer. So David's announcing the fight. I'm bouncing, and I'm in the corner. I'm doing my normal, the bouncer step, and my trainer put his shoulder on my from behind, like stop bouncing. Like he was concerned. And my girlfriend at the time, she's screaming, "Give it to him!" And when my trainer had did this and settled me down from even doing a boxing like rhythm, I'm looking at her like maybe she should shut the fuck up also. Like this, obviously something's not right here. So anyway, the fight starts. I'm doing my shit, pumping out my jab. I remember this. And now I'm going to tell you the parts I don't remember. No, sorry. Let me tell you everything I remember. So I remember pumping my jab, doing my thing, and then the ref has his arm on me. He's doing like this, and I'm like, I'm good. But he's doing like this. He has his arm like this, and he's doing like this in my face. And I'm like, I'm good. I failed. And he's like trying to tell me, he's like, no, son, you was on the floor for 5 minutes. I don't think you was like. And so okay, so now let me tell you what the part that I don't remember. My friend, so he said, Barry, listen, this nigga hit you. So excuse me. They said, Barry. I never say that word, but you get the point of the story, the emphasis. They said, Barry.
Very serious.
Very serious, bro. They said, Barry, if he would have hit me like that, forget about it. They said, no, bro. So the video, when he hits me with an overhand, obviously, over my jab. When he hits me, I never seen this before. Somehow, my feet are in the air, like as I'm going, like, but they're in the air, like he hit me so hard, like as I'm going down, and then yeah, I'm just out, and the referee's trying to tell me, nah, 5 minutes. But here's the positives. Let's talk about the positives. Sorry, my throat is dry. People, I had a long flight. I haven't drank enough water. But so the positives were, can I be funny on your show? Can I say some male shit for the guys here?
Yeah, man, of course, man. This is for the peeps, man.
Guys, sympathy top is the greatest thing. I suggest you go out there, get knocked out, and get sympathy top all day. Let me tell you, the girls, I got bravery top like every day of the week. Oh my God, you're so brave. Like girls was bringing me food, and so bravery top is one of the best global top. I'm kidding. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Tell them that Coach Barry's a nerd.
The whole time.
Bro. Yeah, that's what they would have called it now. But no, seriously though, getting knocked out, like it was so weird. Like, first of all, I felt like I smoked the biggest spliff of all time when I stood up, and just everybody was just so nice. And yeah, it was weird, but it was funny as hell. The knockout was funny as hell. But that fight forced me, and me and Patrick are great friends to this day. That fight forced me to understand. That fight made me the coach I am today. That's it.
I hear that, man. I love that. So yeah, we're gonna go through a quick what do you call it? I call it the penultimate round. Where it's a series of questions, and you give us an answer. So we'll start easy. So hit that bell. Ding ding. Red corner or blue corner?
Blue.
Left hook or straight right?
Straight right hand.
Everlast or fly?
Fly.
Cleto Reyes or Grants?
Let's go, Cleto.
Rival or winning?
Damn, winning.
Paffin Sports or RDX?
Paffin Sport is German, right? So shout out to RDX, whoever you know RDX.
I think it's British RDX, you know. Leon or Venom?
Oh, Leon.
For boots, Nike or Adidas boots for boxing boots?
Neither.
Okay. Everlast or Lonsdale boots?
Neither. I can tell you right now. Sorry, I don't mean to mess up your thing, but Asics wrestling shoes are the best boxing boots you'll ever wear. I would never wear anything else. So flexible, right out the box, not rigid, not structured. I only wear Asics wrestling shoes, in my opinion.
Oh, Asics. Okay, yeah, we call it Asics.
Wrestling shoes, not boxing shoes.
Yeah, I know. I know that. Them Kurt Angle. Yeah. I know what shoes you're talking about. They're very low. The ankle one.
Yeah, they have many of them, but as soon as you touch them, they're the best. Like, you know how you jump rope in boxing shoes for the first time and your foot get cramped in the middle? That doesn't happen with Asics wrestling shoes.
Okay. All right. But the Barclays Center or Madison Square Garden?
MSG.
The New York Knicks or the Jets? Or the Nets, sorry. The Nets, sorry.
Knicks. Real New Yorkers, let's go.
New York Knicks or the New York, the Brooklyn Jets. Yeah. Okay, yeah, the Knicks. Okay, all right. Tupac or Biggie?
I can't even talk about my heroes anymore. I don't know if these guys was like double dipping and stuff. I don't know what's going on, bro. I'll say Biggie, but I hope that his legacy stays intact. Biggie.
Yeah, I hope so too. Him being Jamaican, you know. I don't think
tough times in New York right now. Harlem dudes, by the way, guys, you ain't hear about no guy from the Bronx. You ain't hear about no guys from the Bronx touching on nobody. That's not how we get down.
All right, Nas or Jay-Z?
Damn. Same thing with, I would say Jay-Z automatically because of the bars, but I don't even know this dude's MO right now. I don't know what's going on with Jay right now. I don't know. Like, I don't hear no bad things about Jay, man. I don't want to hear it.
Oh man.
Please don't tell me you're touching on no grown men. Come on, man.
Oh man. All right, Drake or Kendrick?
Oh, for me, it's always been like I've been an anti-Drake person for a long time, so I'm gonna go Kendrick.
Bryson Tiller or Brent Fayez?
Wow. Damn, and that's not even categorical, like lyrically or voice box, or it's just straight up.
Just straight.
I'm gonna give Bryson Tiller his credit because he's doing old school R&B in a new school way, and I'm gonna give him credit because his music pays a lot of homage to Pat. So I'll give him credit.
Future or French Montana?
I can't. First of all, I can't even. If I say French Montana right now, I might have to say pause and no Diddy. So we're gonna go with Future.
Okay.
We don't go with Future, bro.
G Unit or Dipset?
Ooh, Dipset. I really mean it. Let's go, New York.
Come
Dipset,
on.
let's go.
All right, Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson?
Ali.
Jack Johnson or Joe Louis?
Johnson.
Ray Robinson or Ray Leonard?
Leonard, because he's a very kind person. He was very nice to me when I met him. So I'm going to go Leonard.
Michael Buffer or Bruce Buffer?
Bruce Buffer is a beast.
Mike Goodall or Bob Alexander?
Ooh, I'll go Goodall.
Yeah. Mills Lane or Steve Willis?
Oh, Steve Willis. I mean, how can you pick between those two? First of all, Mills was a savage, and Willis is just pure entertainment. Oh, let's go with the savage because you got to fight. You got to fight. Let's go with the savage.
Sebastian Fondora or Errol Spence? Who are you picking?
Right now. Right now or prime?
Yeah, right now. Yeah, right now.
Prime Errol Spence or Errol Spence right now?
Right now, because
Ooh.
I think they've got a fight penciled in.
I'm going to pick Fundora on this one.
Okay.
I hate to do that, but I'm going to pick Fundora.
Yeah, I understand. Chris Billam-Smith.
Which eye did Errol injure? Which eye did Errol injure? Left?
I don't even know,
If it's the right eye, I'm going Fundora. If it's the left eye, I'll give Errol a chance.
Okay. I'll have to double check that then, cross-reference that. Chris Billam-Smith or Zerda Ramirez?
Oh, Billam-Smith. You got to give the kid credit.
Joshua Buatsi or Anthony Yard?
Buatsi had an incredible last performance, really incredible last performance, but we still haven't seen him tested. So I'm going to go Anthony Yard because of resume.
Yeah. Shadesha Green or Savannah Marshall?
The young lady, the green, Shadesha Green.
Okay.
Oh, no. Excuse me. You're not getting me in trouble. Shout out to Savannah Marshall and crew. Those are my peoples. Savannah, I made a mistake. I didn't hear you first. Shout out to Savannah. I'm going to go Savannah.
Love that. BMW or Mercedes?
BMW.
Audi or Lexus?
Audi.
Rolls Royce or Bentley?
Bentley.
For the ladies, you like the dark skin or light skin?
I like brown skin woman. Absolute brown skin.
Okay. Looks or personality?
Personality.
You like them slimline or curvy thick?
Slim thick.
Okay. Natural or surgery?
Natural.
Hip hop or R&B?
Hip hop. But no. I'm sorry. Hip hop, in quotations, bars. It got to be bars. I need bars.
Okay, yeah. You're a real New Yorker, that's why. Slow jams or New Jack Swing?
Slow jams.
Dance hall or Afro beats?
Damn, big time.
Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
And by the way, if anybody that needs context, I don't mind having an uncomfortable conversation. Donald Trump is not even close. It's easy. That's an easy one. If we need context, ask me. You can give my perspective. No problem. I don't mind explaining it.
No. It's just that's just a base question. We don't need to go into all of that. And yeah,
no, but yeah, I would say Trump.
Okay, I hear that. Good, I hear that. Okay, well that's the end of the penultimate round. So thank you for joining me today and coming on, man. Much respect and appreciate for telling your story. Those of you in the chat and those who are watching online, let everybody know where they can find you and how they can reach out to you if they want to. Because I saw there's a guy called Blackhearted 12. I think he wants your book or video, I think. So yeah, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, my social media is at Coach Barry Robinson. I'm not active on there big time right now because I'm working on the biggest project of my boxing career and the most entertaining project of my career. And it's been really fun, and also building an analytics system, which I can't talk about too much. I'm really excited about. So you guys can find me on at Coach Barry Robinson. If you want film studies and those types of things that I used to put out, then subscribe to my Patreon. And just stay tuned for my new projects because my new projects will change the way boxing is trained, viewed, broadcasted, coached, fought for the rest of history. I promise you that.
Yeah, man. Oh, damn. I forgot to ask a few coach questions. Yeah, sorry. In a fighter, which attributes do you rather prefer? Speed or power?
If you left me with those two choices, I'm going to say power. If it's not timing, if you're saying not timing, but you're saying specifically speed, I'm going to just say the power.
A boxer or a fighter in style?
What's the difference?
No, but like a traditional boxer or like a fighter. You know what I'm talking about. What style do you prefer?
I get what you're saying. I'm going to say, here's what I'm going to say, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to give context, but I'm going to give context, and I'll be quick about it. I'm going to say the boxer because when we look at most high-level fights, they all go to distance. So I never saw a super high-level fight that ends in a brutal knockout. And you might go, well, James Dubois and Anthony Joshua was a high-level fight. Was it? Now, so high-level fight, you don't really see knockouts, so I would say the boxer for sure.
Yeah, well, that goes for a prime example would be Artur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol, isn't it?
Perfect example. Perfect.
Yeah. What's more important, footwork or hand placement?
Damn. Having to choose, you got to go with your base. Got to go with your base.
So what? Footwork. Yeah. What do you prefer to use? The mitts, the paddles, or the sticks?
If you force me, I say the pads, but none of them.
The body belt. What do you prefer? The body belt or that circle drum type thing?
I prefer the Muay Thai one, the big square one, because I can do a lot with that.
The rectangle one.
Yeah, I destroy people with that. I destroy their life with
it. Matchroom or Queensbury?
Queensbury.
Or Wasserman.
Go ahead.
Shout out Big Frank. Wasserman, Sauerland Promotions or Boxer?
We'll give the boxer people. We'll say boxer. I don't know the business with Ben Anima, but we'll go with boxer for now since they're visible.
Okay, yeah, and that's the end. But yeah, man, thank you for coming on. Much appreciated, and yeah, we'll definitely chop it up again in the future because that was very interesting and enlightening, and we'll stay in touch, man.
Yeah, and in the future, I just want to throw an idea out there. I love what you guys are doing. I watch as many interviews as possible, and I watch them on YouTube when I do. In the future, maybe we should consider doing some pre-fight. I'll do some scouting reports, and if that's something that we could chop it up. And not all the time, but in the future, think about it. If that's something you guys want to do, I think it would be quite cool. I'm talking about fights where I actually study and not can just come in and talk shit, but fights that actually we can study, prepare for, and maybe have some good sessions. Well, I'd be cool to do that. That'd be fun for me.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, yeah, I'm down for that, man. So yeah,
I just started betting recently, 2 months ago. I've been placing my slips on my Patreon, killing. I don't know why I didn't do this before.
Yeah, I do the what do you call it? The accumulator. So I do it. Base the kid, my guy. We do like bet slips, like accumulation for a week. Like say a week.
Really?
Some boxing starts on Thursday, and we various about. I put like 20. I bet on like 20 fights.
But as one bet though, right?
Yeah, it's one bet. It's all in one slip. So if any result don't come in, that's it. And it's happened where I'll
I
get
guess
19.
in that situation the reward is very high.
Yes, yeah, it is. But obviously, I've been at a place where I can get 19 fights, and then that one, and it's usually the guy who is guaranteed to win. An undercard who's meant to fight a journeyman. He somehow gets turned over, and then those ones where you've risked it, where you've picked an underdog, he's got through it somehow. He's like, oh my god, I'm there, and then some guy who's meant to turn over the guy, where the slip's like 50-1, and he gets beat. I'm like, my god, man. So yeah,
Right.
yeah.
No, I've seen these accumulators, but literally I don't know anything about betting. I just been betting like whether the fight win is stopped and doing well. But the accumulator thing, that sounds terrifying.
Yeah. It's fun though. It's fun.
I
But yeah,
can
man.
imagine. I can imagine. Listen, thank you for your time, and I appreciate better late than, and but I appreciate the energy, and thanks for asking me some super honest questions, and I appreciate the platform. Thank you.
Yeah, and for those who haven't watched all of it, make sure you subscribe, like, watch the full interview. You see it's like 2 hours. But yeah, there you have it, guys. It's Danny Glover from Fight Fan TV Live, and we're joined by the man with the 100 styles of boxing, Coach Barry Robinson. And remember, guys, persistence beats resistance. You know where it is. Peace.
Peace.